go. How many East Coast media members will be awake for this late time tip? This is Across the Board with Jeff Grant here at SBRforum.com. Of course, I'm talking about the Gonzaga Bulldogs versus the BYU Cougars at the Marriott Center, where Gonzaga, if they win both games this week, starting with this one, they could land in the top spot in the AP Top 25 poll, with the Indiana Hoosiers dropping a close one against Minnesota Golden Gophers earlier in the week. 6-point road favorites at the opener has climbed as high as 6.5. Check it out at SBRodds.com, while the total sits at 147. Gonzaga Bulldogs are riding a season-high 10-game win streak. They have beaten opponents by an average of 22.7 points during that span, and it's been all about the defensive end. Mark Few, the head coach, longtime head coach that has really risen this mid-major to the ranks of one of the top programs in all of college basketball. 54.5 points allowed during their 10-game win streak on 35.2% defensive field goal percentage. They did pick up, and all of this started with an 83-63 victory over the BYU Cougars as 10-point home favorites. That one going under the total of 148. And really the story, when looking over that box score, when handicapping this game this morning, they limited Tyler Haws, the leading scorer for BYU, to just a single point. He went 0 for 9 from the floor in that game. He averages 20.9 points per game. That leads the West Coast Conference, and he averages 22.1 in Provo. So expect better numbers from him in the second meeting. 27-2 overall, 14-0 in conference play, and the Gonzaga Bulldogs have gone 15-11 against the spread. Like I said, this is a potential move to #1. So how will this program deal with the fact that they could potentially land in the top spot for the first time in school history? Both losses coming against conference opponents this year. Illinois at home, Butler on the road. Second nationally, shooting 50.9% from the field, and that has led directly to ranking third in all of the country in scoring margin, outscoring opponents by 18.4 points per game. 13-16 against the spread the last 2+ seasons on the road. 1-2 during that span as road favorites of 3.5 to 6 points. So definitely monitor if this number climbs further than 6.5, but I expect it to settle in the 6-point range. I expect equal action on both sides from the odds makers, knowing the fact that this game is going to be one of the more heavily bet games and may be a bailout game in the market late Thursday night. When you look at the BYU Cougars, they suffered a 64-57 setback in their last one against St. Mary's. That coming a week ago as 8.5-point road underdogs. They were 5-point home favorites in a buzzer-beating loss to St. Mary's in the first meeting. So that just shows the swings in West Coast Conference play in terms of home court advantage and what odds makers are doing. 10-2 straight up, 4-8 against the spread when playing on 5 or 6 days rest. They do have a veteran coach, and I'm not too concerned with the fact that they're 4-8 ATS in that situation, given the fact that they're going to be listed as a favorite in a majority of those games, if not all of them. Shooting 48.1% in WCC play, 44.5% in non-conference, so they've upped their offensive production when facing conference foes. Of course, they shoot 47.8% at the Marriott Center, but when you look at Gonzaga, they are one of the better shooting teams, obviously, in America. BYU does not have an edge in that category. Gonzaga shooting 48.5% away from Spokane. The Zags will be the highest-ranked opponent ever to play at the Marriott Center in Provo. Brandon Davies is really the player to watch. I already touched on the fact that I think Haas is going to bounce back. He should have at least 10 or more points in this game, and they're going to need an inside-outside combination, and Brandon Davies is that guy in the paint. He's averaging 18.1 points and 8.4 rebounds over his last 7 games. And like I said, Dave Rose, veteran coach, has been there 8 years. This is the first time that the BYU Cougars will tip off as a home underdog during his time in Utah for the BYU Cougars. The favorite is 5-0 ATS in the last 5 meetings. Of course, that coincides with the home team being favored. So we have the home team basically in this series for the first time in 6 tries as an underdog. I can't pass up that opportunity. You may want to lay the points. From a situational standpoint, absolutely no way that I lay the points here. I'm taking the points. BYU Cougars plus 6.5 against the Gonzaga Bulldogs on Thursday night. You can get more information about this game or any other on the college basketball board by following me on Twitter at Jeff Grant Sports, and definitely check out any more ATS across the board videos or soccer videos, NBA videos by going to sbrvideos.com. Cut.